Well, what a fun 2 weeks that was since the last episode of Albumble.
Yes,
that's right.
It's been a jam-packed week.
Yes.
Full of jam.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. What did I say?
Week.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It was definitely been 2 weeks.
It's definitely been a fortnight.
Yes. Yes.
Welcome along to Albumble, or ArchAndroid presents Albumble.
Albumble, where we review albums we didn't review the first time round.
Yes.
I'm going to add an extra section in here, ad hoc.
Oh, God, here we go.
So I thought it might be a good idea every so often to go back over the previous episodes, because things have happened.
Okay.
So, first of all, in the first episode, we reviewed A Different Class by Pulp.
Yes.
Since that podcast came out, rumours are that Pulp are back in the studio.
Yes, I did hear that, yeah.
Apparently, Jarvis Cocker was seen in a studio in Walthamstow.
What, with he's 17?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, That the wonders of Cocker and Mortimer.
Brian Harvey. Brian Harvey and Jarvis Cocker together at last.
Yes. It could be a...
Okay.
Yeah, so then... And then, of course, the next album that we reviewed was Darn. And then... Literally like we planned it.
A new version of Housewife gets released.
Yes, with the rapper Glintz.
Yes.
Very Belgian, because...
He's got a right potty mouth, hasn't he?
Yes. A very Mockney potty mouth.
Yeah,
but seems to be very successful, though.
I reckon that Steve Glintz is going to be on EastEnders. I don't know, it's just a guess. I'm guessing not. I reckon that Steve Glintz is going to be on EastEnders before too much longer.
Possibly.
He's going to be, what's going on here?
Yeah.
No, what's going on here?
Yes, so if you have not heard that version, it's everywhere in Belgium at the moment. It's been number one for 79 years.
Or
maybe not that, but
or the last 6 weeks on the African.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. So yes.
So then we went on to the Zootons. Any Zooton news?
Not that's been on my radar.
Okay. As far as I'm aware, Dan the Sack and Scroobius Pip have not reformed.
No.
What with Scroobius Pip being busy with just like
stuff,
doing everything else.
Yes. But I'm sure if any news of people we've reviewed comes up,
yes,
you'll hear it here first.
So do we need to introduce that as a new feature? We'll have the callbacks.
No, well, I just thought it just so happened that,
because when we get up to like 1,000 episodes,
yes,
like all podcasts seem to get up to.
Yes.
Actually, I've a couple of things I've noticed. There's a couple of podcasts I listen to on a regular basis that over the last 6 months or so have gone from making 1 episode a week to 2 episodes a week.
Obviously got lots of time on their hands.
Yeah, this is the only conclusion I can come to, is these people have got far too much time to
not us, us people.
No.
Twice a month is enough.
Yes. Vicar.
Right. So, shall we get on with this week's episode?
Would you like to introduce your choice?
So, I chose Janelle Monáe's The ArchAndroid. Can
I just ask a quick question?
Go on.
Is it the ArchAndroid or the ArchAndroid, as in Archangel?
I don't know, because it could be Arch as in enemy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, I was just wondering.
Which is technically Janelle Monáe's first album, although she did have what is classed as an EP beforehand, which is kind of like the prologue to this album.
Which I'm guessing is Suite 1.
Yes.
Right, okay.
And this album has Suite 2 and 3
yes,
on it. Right.
So this was released in which year?
This was... Let me look. I didn't actually write that down. 2010.
Okay.
So, yes.
Right, shall we have a wander through this album?
Yes, let's do that.
So we open up the album with the Suite 2 Overture.
Yes, which then goes into Dance or Die.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very... This album is very much a... I don't want to say it's a concept album, but it's I don't
think that would be unreasonable.
It's very much a whole thing.
Yes.
It's got a narrative going all the way through it.
Yeah. And it's very much... perhaps it's not one whole piece, but it is a number of chunks rather than individual songs.
Yes. But you can listen to them individually.
Yes, yeah.
You know, but it does work better as a whole. So you've got like the... in a kind of old film kind of way.
Yeah, I think...
When you'd have the...
I think the word cinematic is going to come up a lot over the next few minutes.
So we have like the and it also introduces, a bit like in a kind of Andrew Lloyd Webber musical way, you have like the motifs.
Yeah.
There's a few like flex towards
yes.
chords and melodies that you trip up on later in the actual thing.
Yes.
But then we go into the first song, which is Dance or Die.
Yeah.
Which is quite talky. You got like the very fast staccato.
Yes.
Talky rap.
Yes.
Type thing.
Which I'm very much a fan of.
Yes. But also has that one goes a bit more electronic.
Yeah.
As it goes on, so you've had like the orchestral input, and then starts going a bit dark and a bit more. Yes. I don't want to say normal. I think normal pop.
I think it's quite an accessible opening to the album.
Yes.
It's more classical hip hop than it is modern hip hop.
Yes.
Now this is an album which I think is right on the cusp of.
Everything.
Because it's the influence it draws are from everywhere. It's from I can pinpoint influences from Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye on there.
Yeah.
Everything through 80s and 90s hip hop. Mm-hmm. And then there are obviously nods to what was contemporary then and what is coming up over the next few years. So it's it's very much displaying its influences all over the place.
Right. Now, there are a lot of songs on this album.
Yes.
So it might be best to try and get through as many as
I possibly have more to say about this in terms of things I was left thinking about the whole thing. Because this isn't something that a genre that I'm massively familiar with. I don't have the vocabulary or the knowledge to talk about some of this.
No, that's... I mean, I could say the same myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it is just an album that I do enjoy a lot of the parts and the wholes and the parts.
Yeah.
Right, so another thing to just mention is that a lot of these songs do actually go into each other.
Yes.
There's no real hard break.
No.
Between a lot of these songs, which again keeps that cinematic flow going. Yeah. Almost. So then we go into Faster.
Yeah.
Which is a lot more a bit 60s.
Yeah.
I say it's very fast.
Yes.
And has got as a Motown 60s.
This is where I think I picked up the Marvin Gaye references from.
Yeah.
It's that sort of softly delivered, powerful, protesty type of vocal.
Yes. And I think later on in the album, it becomes a bit more... don't want to say the word freeform, but here her vocal is very direct. There's not much of the even though she's got a very good voice.
Yeah,
it's not showy.
No,
it's very driving the story, driving the the character, rather than a album going, look at me, I'm so great.
Mariah Carey, yes.
Well, yeah, a bit, but
that sort of. Yeah, I think it also, the accessibility of it becomes gradually less as you go through the album. Once we get into Suite 3, as it's called,
there's a bit more.
Have more to say about that.
And then we go straight into Locked Inside, where it slows down a little bit, but there is still that beat, there's still that 60s influence.
Yeah. It goes more from upbeat soul into a more broad swing sound, doesn't it?
Yes. So it's going from that 60s sound into almost a Stevie Wonder-esque 70s vibe.
Yeah.
And the song also samples Rock With You by Michael Jackson.
Oh, right, okay. I hadn't spotted.
Which also kind of gives it that kind of progressive... That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Progressive edge.
Yeah.
From the kind of frenetic 60s vibe that we'd just come from.
Yeah. Now, I have to admit, I didn't spot the Michael Jackson sample.
Okay.
There is something else that comes up later, which I don't know if it's a sample or if it's a replay designed to sound a bit like something, but not be enough to be
all right. Well, we can talk about
chargeable.
That. Okay, all right, okay.
But this doesn't strike me as an album where that's been much of a consideration. I think if there are samples, then it's on one of the big labels, so generally these things get cleared and get used.
Yeah.
So that takes us on to track 5, which is Sir
Green Down,
which I think sort of explodes into track 6, which is Cold War.
Yes. So Sir Green Down is a bit of the come down.
Yeah.
I see this as Janelle Monáe's version of Moon River.
Oh, yeah.
It's that kind of wistful, kind of melancholy, kind of I'm trying to think of another word for wistful.
We're back in the dreamscape,
dreamy,
aren't we? Yeah.
Yes, that's and I suppose it's needed at that point because we've had several tracks now that have been kind of one after one after with no break, and then this kind of we have this one fades out and then goes into Cold War. So this has got the kind of...
This is the breathing moment before the tempo comes back up again. Yeah.
Again, even though it's a slow song, it's very cleanly delivered.
Yeah.
There's not much in the vocal gymnastics.
No.
And has I don't know what the main instrument in that does the... I want to say it's a bit like a harpsichord, but it's not. It's some kind of organ, a very 60s-ish, might be even a Hammond organ that's gone through a...
See, I assumed that was a synth sound.
Maybe, yeah.
On that. It may not. It may well not be, because I know a lot of these sorts of albums like to do the sounds with the original equipment. But
and so all of this is kind of leading up to the Janelle Monáe character, who's fallen in love with a human kind of thing, because she's the android,
right?
She's the outer space stroke robot character who's fallen in love with Mr. Green Down,
Right.
Hence why we then go into Cold War.
Yeah.
Which is one of the singles.
Yes.
Off the album as well.
Which is quite an obvious choice because it sort of has that sort of modern Motowny sound to it.
Quite repetitive.
Yeah. Quite earwormy.
Yes, very. Is this the one that's got? I always confuse the two singles. No, it's the other one that's got the rap on it, isn't it?
Tightrope, yeah.
Yes. So it's. I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was thinking, we're not going to get any Eurovision references.
Oh God, here we go.
However, I think out of all the songs on here, this would have made a very good Eurovision song.
Does it come in at under 3 minutes?
No, but
right,
I mean
there you go.
The idea though.
Yeah.
The bits of the song are very short.
Yeah.
You know, the verses are relatively snappy.
It's punchy.
And then the chorus is literally 2 lines.
Yeah.
So I think this could have been a very good scaffold for potential Eurovision songs. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then we go into the second of the singles.
Yeah.
Which is Tightrope.
Yeah. Which
has got
your man from Outcast.
The bloke from Outcast on it. Now, I actually don't like his bit on this.
It didn't feel necessary to it. There are a number of songs that I've heard which you hear. Usually it's a radio version that has a rap in it.
Yes.
And you think, oh, now this adds something to it, or this punctuates it.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure the rap on this one does.
I think it breaks the flow of the song too much.
Yeah.
And also it dates it really badly with nods to MacBooks.
Yeah.
Which, you know, for an album that does seem slightly timeless almost, does rubber stamp it with early 2010s.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit of a shame. I'm guessing, were they on the same record label?
Oh, now there's a good question. I can soon work that out for you.
I was just trying to think of why, because if this song doesn't need this rap, or is it Big Boy? Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not needed, then why would it be on there? Or we're doing live searching.
I don't know whether it's because it's trying to bring this new artist to an existing audience by saying, here's the featured artist. Oh, this is somebody you know.
Yes.
This is so Speaker Box Love Below from Outcast was on Arista BMG. Yeah, we really are doing live searching.
Live searching.
And Janelle's album was on Bad Boy Entertainment Wonderland. Now, who is that part of? Warner's.
Oh, okay. Just seems anyway.
Yeah. There may well have been links between them because I don't know how long Outcast remained on their label after that. So, anyway, carry on.
So I think this is a very obvious single.
Yeah.
I don't think it's one of the best songs on. I think it's very singly rather than being good. If that makes sense.
I think you are quite limited with this album as to which songs will make singles without being cut to ribbons from their album version. And
that sounds a bit Eurovision-y, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. But this is very much a song that can exist on its own, in isolation. And also this is the one song that I particularly remembered from... Oh, it can't have been more than a couple of years ago when she did Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
yeah, there was... It
must have been...
Yeah, she did do the majority of this album.
Yes.
At Glastonbury.
Yeah. And it's the whole performance aspect. This... The recorded version of the album, I'll touch on this a bit later, I don't find as engaging as the live performances that I've seen of it. Because I saw on one of the American chat shows as well.
Yes.
Possibly around the same time doing stuff from this album.
Yes.
So, yeah, for me, it I would rather have the live experience of it. But anyway, carry on.
Right, should we move on?
Yes.
So the next song is Neon Gumbo,
which I thought was just a Link interlude.
Yes, so this song is backwards.
Yes.
Now, have you listened to it forwards?
No.
No, so if you go on YouTube...
Because why would you make life difficult for everyone?
Right, so because what you will then notice is this is part of a song that was on the Prelude EP.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's a bit that's been re-recorded from the first EP, from Suite 1, which is called Many Moons.
Okay.
And I don't know why it's been done. It's just... The song itself, Many Moons, is quite a fun song.
Yeah.
Because it has the Sesame Street song on it. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Right,
it's
okay.
that
yeah.
as the bass line kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that bit isn't actually in that sample that's backwards.
Do they tell us that Paul is dead?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, right, okay.
So I think that might be there to go, oh, if you know, you know.
Yes.
Kind of like...
This is the in-joke for the fans.
Yes, possibly.
The sort of thing that the internet has absolutely ruined because now everybody knows about it because everyone can just Google it and read it on the Wikipedia page. So this takes us into number 9, O Maker, which has that rather strange country intro to it.
Yes.
Which I get because it's making you want to sit up and pay attention. Oh, this is different.
Yes.
And then goes into sort of a funk country.
Yes, it is very much. I feel like not only is this a concept album and a thematic album, but it's also, I can imagine somebody taking this CD into the record company and gone, this is my showcase.
Yeah.
I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I can do country, I could do soul, I can do Motown, I could do ballads, I could do fast stuff.
But this is very much an example of a debut album where every influence you've had in your life leads up to that first album.
Yes.
And then after that, you're possibly left with something of a creative challenge because you have to come up with new places
stuff
to go, which you don't have the whole of your life to back reference.
No. And then if you do, people just say, oh, it's the same stuff you've already done.
Yeah. I wondered if because there's I think it's an acoustic guitar riff in this, which sounded a lot like the guitar line from Everybody's Talking by Nilsson.
Oh, yes, it does have that.
I don't know whether it's actually that.
Oh, I don't know.
Because that's a song that has a very persistent theme going to it as an earworm.
There's the diddle is the I don't know.
Yeah, but you know how it. Yeah. And that runs all the way through, and it drives the song all the way through. And I think it performs a similar task in this song.
Yes.
It drives the theme of the song along. So, we then have a electro style outro link or bridge or whatever you want to call it.
Into a very odd thing.
Come Alive, War of the Roses.
Where it becomes a little bit unhinged.
Yeah.
Which I quite like, because it does feel a little bit like everything's fallen apart.
Yeah.
And at some points it feels a bit like screaming, stroke shouting, not really singing.
Yeah.
It's all gone a bit...
It's an emotional outpouring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do start to wonder whether this is the character that is gone a bit weird and a bit crazy, or whether it's actually Janelle Monáe's kind of scream of actually the music industry is peppered with wrong uns, and this is why I'm doing it myself.
It's very early in your career to be having that sort of...
Yeah, but I think she's always been quite independent minded, I think. Because as we've worked out, she's not on a big label.
No.
So I do kind of wonder whether this is one of the things where she's going, I'm in control of the stuff, and this is where, come alive.
I think a lot of the decisions that have been made in the production and the styling of this album is somebody making it very clear that they're the creative mind in charge of this all the way through. Dare I say, a little bit like Prince would have done.
Well, talking about Prince, we then have track 11, which is Mushrooms and Roses, which literally
Mushrooms and Roses.
Well, I mean, it literally could have been and it's really weird because what was the album? Oh God, I'm rubbish at this. What was the other album she did? The one where she's got like the face mask on. That one.
Hold on. Do you want me to ask Dr. Discogs again?
That album was like absolutely 100% kind of. It's not that. I didn't know it was called that. Dirty Computer.
Right. Okay.
That's it. The songs off that are so Prince inspired.
Yeah.
When I heard this again, there were a few tracks that were like, this feels like Prince.
Yeah.
And this, I don't know whether it's the speed, because it's very slow.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's got that very low, very synthesized vocal, which makes it feel slightly androgynous.
I'll admit,
that
synthesized vocal lost me after about the first 30 seconds. I have an aversion to anything where the vocals are intentionally distorted so far away that it's impossible to listen to them as part of the song.
Okay.
Because that's just, for me, creating a layer of admin that I don't need.
No.
Assuming that at that point I still care enough about the song to go and find it. Anyway, but...
So, and then obviously we've got the instrumental where they have like the guitar solo, which I could imagine Prince actually doing.
Yes, it's
obviously I think he was still alive at this point as well.
Yes, I think he was.
So yes, then that is the end of Suite 2.
Yes, and to be honest, that could be the end of the album.
That could very much be the end of the album. But it's not.
But instead, we've got to go into Suite 3, or, as I'm entitling it, Janelle's Film Music Workshop.
Yes. Yes, another, again, more of more is it life motif or something? Light motif.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a yes. More of that. More bits.
More
setting you up for the rest.
Yeah, it's making it very clear that we are now in a cityscape rather than all over the place. And the number of things in this part of the album particularly that I think are just designed to be cinema soundtracks are astonishing. Anyway, carry on.
So this then goes into Neon Valley Street.
Yeah.
Which...
It's effectively an intro to Neon Valley Street, isn't it?
So. This is another ballad. This one, though, has a lot less vocal control.
Yeah.
There is a lot of...
Yeah.
And
the production's way over the top.
Yes, it is very... It does start to lose it a bit after the overture.
I did like the string signature that goes on through this. But,
yes.
Yeah, I think that was my favourite thing about it.
You do get the sense that the theming has changed because we've gone from quite a lot of fast songs and then we start the next bit with a rather slow... I don't want to say it's lopping along, but it's very just there. There's not much beat.
No.
It's very, I don't know, just earscape.
Yeah.
Earscape.
There we are. There's a new genre for us to put down.
Yeah, earscape. Not to be confused with netscape.
No. I think even in 2010 that would have been a retro.
Yes.
So.
And then we go on to Make the Bus.
Yes.
Which, well, I'll let you have a go at this because this is possibly the oddest song.
No, you see, with an album that has the title it does.
Yes.
This is sort of electro funk. Sort of powering through this, and this is perhaps the first track that I think matches what I would have expected from this album.
Go on.
And I think this is probably out of the second half. This is the one I enjoyed the most.
So this song is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because I believe it's the only song on the album that's not written by Janelle Monáe.
Oh right, okay.
So this is a collaboration with a band called Of Montreal.
Yes.
And the other voice is the person who wrote it, Kevin Barnes. They are effectively an indie band.
Yeah.
And he wrote the song and gave it to her because he was like, this doesn't sound like anything. I'm going to give it to her and we'll see what happens. It is very odd, like just the whole production and the timings and everything is very different to the rest of the album. And I don't know whether it just feels more odd because of the songs that we've had previous. You think, we're going to go down a certain route, and actually just when we're starting to think, we know what's going to happen.
But that's happened to us several times on this album, hasn't it? So it's not really that much of a surprise. That leads on to the partially electro film music of Wonderland. Yes.
Which obviously harks to her record company.
Yes.
So there's obviously a bit of a double meaning to this.
Yeah.
And of course has the fantastic line of, take me back to Wonderland, she thinks she left her underpants.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's a story there of somebody who left underwear at a record company or a weird party went a bit wrong.
Yeah. I think with a lot of these lines, unless you actually hear an artist talk about where they came up with
the ideas,
it's difficult to know that.
I think I don't know whether I'm wrong in thinking this. I think this would have made a more interesting single than Tightrope.
Oh, okay.
I think it has got single potential.
Yeah.
And I think also there's not too much in the lyrics where you go, I don't know, obviously apart from Underpants.
Yeah.
A lot of it does seem rather generic about, love and romance and things like that. But
it's a song it's a song that perhaps sounds like it's been written by committee rather than...
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
But I do think it's quite gentle.
Yeah.
And would have been something a little different to Cold War.
Yeah.
Which is possibly quite punchy. To have something that's a little more, don't want to say flouncy, but a bit more light and fun.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of wit
in
it, slightly.
Okay. Yeah. That takes us on to 57821.
Yeah.
Sorry, track number 57. Oh no, track number 16.
There's no that.
Yes, which starts off folky and then drifts off into something even sleepier.
So we've got so this song I think is twinned with Sir Greendown.
Yeah.
In that kind of sleepy, melancholy, wistful.
Yeah.
And this one's very... I think this one has more of a mysticism, folky. I can see them singing this on Glastonbury tour with, wanting to raise the spirit of St. Patrick himself.
Or to drive the snakes out of nearby Wedmore.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. I've got to be honest, I think you got more from it than I did.
Okay.
So track 17 is Say You'll Go.
So, again, it's another slow song. This possibly could have been an interesting single, though. It's very... Again, it is slightly Marvin Gaye-esque. I think this could have been a good remix track.
Yeah,
that,
perhaps.
Have something a bit more ba-dump behind it.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing for me was how it sort of drifts off into Claire de Lune at the end.
Yes. I thought you'd like that.
Yeah. So that was a nice bit of classical class to finish it on. And finally, track 18 is Bebop Baya.
Yes, and a recurring theme that's happened in a lot of our albums is the massively long end track.
Yes.
I'll give this one its due. It does fill the time.
It does fill up the rest of the CD.
It does move on. Because it does go, and then there is a slight time signature difference, and then it goes into a kind of Spanish section, and then has almost like the final overture.
Yeah.
And the final credits coming down the screen.
Yeah.
Type affair. So, what did you like the final, or
I thought the first half of it floated by somewhat, and then the second half seemed to be building to a climax that it never quite got to.
Yes, well, I think the climax here is the kind of cliffhanger of what's going to happen next, because I think some of these themes then get introduced in the next album.
Yeah.
So I think.
But you see, that's a bit like having a film that tells you half a story, and then says,
you like Harry Potter.
Well, that sort of thing that tells you a bit of a story, and then says, "Oh, but what's coming next?"
Yes.
And the problem is, if this album hadn't been a commercial success, we would never have known what was going to come next.
That's true.
So I must admit, I was possibly losing my patience.
Okay.
A little bit by here. I did write, gets lost in the filmscape of a movie that I'm not interested in.
Yes, yeah. It's...
I was possibly a bit harsh. But...
yeah, it does seem to be an album of a main bit and another bit.
Okay. I have no idea what a main bit and another bit is. Okay.
It's a bit like the motorcycle on the sidecar.
Right. Have you been drinking?
No! But like, yeah, the first suite, the suite 2,
yeah,
is the bike.
Right.
And suite 3 is like the sidecar.
Right, okay.
Except there's no one in it.
The first part of the album is the Ford Fiesta, and the second part is the small box trailer.
Yes.
With one completely bald tyre.
Yes.
And a pram wheel. Sorry, I wasn't meaning to be that damning about it. I don't know quite.
No, yeah, okay.
But anyway, shall we draw?
Shall we? Yes.
We'll draw this to a close. So I thought I'd save it till this point, because I have made a few overall notes about the album, which are that there are a lot of cinematic soundtrack pieces on this album, and I do wonder if that was because Janelle Monáe wanted to make a film rather than an album. Now, I know obviously they've gone on to do a lot of acting since this, so that may be something, or perhaps it was something that was done intentionally to make it look, to make it sound in this way. There are also a lot of very blurred edges on this album. It's not an album of, as we've touched on already, it's not an album of 10 3-minute pop songs.
No.
Which, again, I don't have too much of a problem with, but it makes it a more challenging listen than I think a straightforward pop album would be. I sometimes want the production to be an awful lot less. I want it to be less perfect. I want it to be less polished. This feels like an album that has been in the studio being worked on for months, if not years, before it gets released to the public, with every little thing on there having been quantum analysed as to whether it's exactly the right thing in exactly the right place. I think the second half, the third suite, lacks the punch of the second suite, and as I said again, prefers to go wandering off around film sets. And doing that. And finally, I would love Janelle Monáe to do a quick project, to go into a studio with somebody like Dan Carey. I use Dan Carey as an example because he does these one-day recording sessions from absolute scratch with bands and with artists, goes in, records something one day, releases it as a single. I would love to hear what they would do given the opportunity to do something quickly, fast, that doesn't have to have loads of production on it. Because I think it could be really exciting. But anyway, that's my final opinions.
Just to give you, because you were saying about not only about the production, but what the album set out to do.
Yeah.
So, the first suite, which was the EP, was released in 2007.
Right.
And then the album was out 2010.
Uh-huh.
So, obviously, the project had been quite in her mind for a very long time.
Yeah.
To get the first suite out, and then
work
to get
on
the next two.
Yeah.
And then we have the next album, which is The Electric Lady.
Yeah.
Which came out another 3 years afterwards.
Now, does that thematically carry on this story?
Yes.
Right, okay.
I think... I'm not going to look this up because it'll probably take me down a rabbit hole. I think Janelle Monáe's original idea was that this was going to be 7 parts.
Right, okay.
I don't think it ended up being 7 because I don't think the Dirty Computer one might be, but I've always seen it as slightly different.
Yeah.
But... so yes, this was going to be a 7-part, if not
7
more,
act 5-hour opera.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess when it comes to things like production and stuff like that, what I would say is that we keep on saying that this isn't an album that a genre of stuff we would normally listen to, but I think the fact that this does show that the hip hop doesn't have to be full of sex and swearing and and
was that Lil Kim?
Yeah.
Good guess, me.
Especially at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you did have people like Outkast and things like that who were doing more.
Oh, there's always been a lot more going in on hip hop in the underground.
Yes,
which is far detached from guns, bitches, and bling.
Yes.
So it's this is obviously a part of that, but I also understand that a lot. I will use the phrase black music because I think it's a helpful term because it refers to everything that comes from this world. I think there is a fashion within there to sort of almost use the production and the amount of time you spend on something and the amount of people you've got involved with it as something of a badge of honour. Sort of look at this huge list of credits. Haven't we involved a lot of people in this?
Yes.
So I think that's perhaps part of the reason why it was that way as well. But anyway, that's brings us to the end. I think it's fair to say you love this far more than I do.
I don't often listen to the whole thing. There's parts of that, especially the third act, that I have not listened to in a very long time.
No.
Because they don't lend themselves to listening out of context.
No.
Apart from possibly Make the Bus.
Yeah.
Just because it's so odd anyway.
Yes.
But yes, I just think it's something a little bit different for us to listen to.
Yes, yeah. And I have been pondering on your chastisement of everything's too white and male.
Well, yes.
In all honesty, it's a fair point.
It is. But then again, thinking about when we grew up, when we were tiddlers.
Yeah.
It was a very male band world.
Well, it was...
White world.
It was...
And then the black people just did reggae.
No, because by 1990 there was a lot of black people doing a lot of different sorts of music.
Yes.
And then you on the ITV chart show, you'd have the rock chart, which would just be old white men.
Yeah.
Well, even though they weren't actually that old then, but
they just looked it.
I swear John Bon Jovi looks younger now than he did in 1990. But anyway,
right. So that's the end of our review.
Yes.
Now it's your turn to give us an album to peruse for next time.
See, I've been thinking about this because I've been thinking, do you know what? I ought to try and do something that's not as white and male as well.
Okay, go on then.
I've succeeded on one count.
Right, go on.
I was tempted to say, we'll do a block party album.
Okay.
But that's possibly going to be a bit obvious. But
okay, that's not necessarily, but
I think I'll introduce you to the wonderful world of Coach Party.
Oh, okay.
And their album Killjoy.
Right. Okay.
From last year, or perhaps the year before. No, I think it was last year.
Okay.
So it's relatively recent.
Yes.
And it's lively.
Oh, it's lively.
So, yeah, you'll like.
Hence the party.
They're from the Isle of Wight.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're the biggest noise coming out of the Isle of Wight since the ferry's engines went bang. Anyway, that's for you to decide.
Okay. But I better write that down before I forget. Not what you just said. I mean, okay. What the thing is. Right. Right. Okay. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
You can find us on Spotify seems to be where most people listen to us.
All right. Okay.
These days.
I have to be honest. Oh no, I shouldn't say anything like this, should I?
What?
I was going to say I don't listen to podcasts on Spotify.
Okay, well I don't either.
Because then all they start doing is dropping them in the middle of when I'm listening to music, and that annoys me.
Well,
anyway,
you can find if you just search for Albumble on your podcast provider. I'm sure you'll find us there.
Yeah.
If you've got any news from any of the bands and acts that we've had on that we need to have a news update about, please. Yeah. Tell us at Albumble on the good old Twitter. We're not calling it X.
Unless you're in Brazil, of course.
No, I'm sorry, Brazil.
Because it's no longer happening over there.
No, well, good for them. Down with this kind of thing.
Careful now.
Right, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
With Coach Party.
Cheerio.
Bye.